So this rock made a dent in my gas tank in the GX460. It's got an RCI skid on it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to reinforce the dent that it made, but first let me show you the dent that the rock made. Look at all the carnage under here. We're going to get to that later. We got the front skid is beat up, the control arms, the transmission skid, bolt protectors, there's a bolt bent there. All these skids are torn up. They've done their job. The trailing arm bushing bracket here is all bent up, if you see. That's got to get... yeah, it's all torn up in here. Look at the muffler. The muffler is completely bent there. But anyway, let's get to the gas tank. So like I said, there was a Pebble in there, and it basically, this is the RCI aluminum skid plate that we installed about like 2 years ago. And oh, you can see another Pebble down there. But anyway, a rock the size of what I showed you got wedged right in there. So let me show you where I'm going to point with my finger. Kind of got wedged right around there. And so it's dented. Now it's not bad, but I do want to stay on top of it. It's lighting up right there. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. But we're going to take the skid plate. We're going to actually tilt it down. And I'm going to reinforce that with a bunch of Mickey Mouse sealants and mastics and JB Weld and glue. You'll see. It's a recipe that's worked for me before to actually seal actual gas tank leaks. So in my opinion, it works. But the idea is not to seal this from leaks per se. It's to reinforce it in case a rock gets up here again. And I'm going to put some foam in here so rocks don't get in there again. We're going to talk about this design. The original OEM went up where this one doesn't. In other words, the OEM plate went up where my hand is to kind of keep rocks out of this area. But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, let's get this plate down.
Okay, let's get started. We're going to take this RCI gas tank skid plate off by... well, actually not going to take it off. Just going to lower it by loosening some of the bolts. I put yellow marks to mark the position so you can put it back the same way. It's 13 millimeter heads and 14 millimeter heads. Down it goes. You can see it tipping in the front there. And there's the spot, and I'm sanding it there. And I'm going to use this Seal-All in the yellow tube. It's great stuff. Works on plastic gas tanks when they're actually leaking. Some fiberglass mesh tape, and you're just going to kind of glue, you know, first layer of glue in the mesh tape. And then you're going to let that dry after you smooth it out here. And then you're going to add another layer of glue, Seal-All. So here's the second layer. So you see a slightly bigger patch. And again, this has worked on actual gas tank leaks that we've had. And people use Seal-All all the time for gas tank leaks. It really does work, and it really does hold up. But this is not a leak. It's just a dent. And I just want to reinforce it. This is Permatex Right stuff. As the gnarliest stuff known to automotive mechanics. Anyway, these white pads are just foam tape. Like it's going to help pad the underside of the tank, so we don't have the aluminum skid rubbing on the plastic tank when I put it back up. I'm smoothing out the Permatex Right stuff, and you see these are white double-sided tapes going on the very bottom. You see there of the tank. And so when I push the RCI skid up, it's not going to chafe away on the plastic. I should have done that the first time around. If I were to do this over again, we're going to talk about that in a second. I'd do some things differently. But I'd put double-sided tape on, and I'd also probably keep the original half skid. And yes, this came with a half skid. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And you can actually retrofit a full skid on this. And I'm talking OEM gas tank skids. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. We're here I am bolting everything back up, and as you can see, when you put the RCI skid plate back up, it's going to sit tight against the plastic tank, and that's where that white foam tape is going to kind of come in handy here. So again, we're not trying to do anything other to this spot that I'm gooping Permatex Right stuff and glue and Seal-All. The whole point is Murphy's Law says a rock will go right back in that one spot where it was already dented and already compromised and then blow a hole through the tank, and I'll have a gas tank leak everywhere. Oh, there I am using the OEM bottle jack by Takemitsu. It's an excellent bottle jack, screw type jack. Check the channel if you want to know more about that. Don't throw those things away. Those things are like, I don't know, 100, 200 bucks to be replaced. Here I am trying to foam in where the rock got through, and I'm going to just use spray foam instead. Yep, it's messy, but it's going to work and keep rocks out of there. Don't care how it looks. It's going to get the job done. All right, let's talk about this RCI skid plate here. This is the same one we have. Now, it looks like, and this is the issue, it looks like, oh, it comes up and it covers the front of the gas tank, but it really doesn't. This is a little bit deceiving. This edge here where the mouse is exposed and the tank is just sitting there. And then it looks like it goes up and it covers the other half of the front of the gas tank, but it doesn't. It's exposed there, and that's exactly where rocks got jammed in and made that dent. This is the OEM GX460 half type skid plate for your gas tank. So half type, and then this is the full type. So the GX460 actually did in some variants, and some markets come with a full-on gas tank skid plate from the factory that covered the whole entire gas tank that you see up here. But ours came with this kind of half one, but even still, it goes up a lot higher on the front, and it goes all the way up and covers the whole front of the gas tank. So it doesn't matter if you have the half skid or the full skid OEM, you're going to have the front here. So where the mouse is the front, and you can see we're looking at it upside down. So this is the bottom where the mouse is, and it rises all the way up to cover this whole front side of the gas tank. It follows the contours, and it covers that whole front upward end of the gas tank. But if we look back at the RCI skid, you can see that we have a whole exposed area that the RCI plate does not cover that the OEM skid did cover. So this whole area up here where the mouse is, this black plastic that's just hanging out here, and then down here where the rock got lodged, the rock got lodged in and made a dent, that's exposed. All this is exposed because RCI, for whatever reason, didn't want to take this plate and bend it upward and follow these two corners here and make it happen. So while the OEM skid plate may be quote-unquote thinner, we can clearly see on the front here where the mouse is, look how high it goes. It goes all the way up, however many inches, I don't know what that is, 6, 8 inches high, where the RCI skid plate just, in one area, is just completely flat, and then the other area goes up like an inch or so. But the OEM really covers this whole front end where the rocks from the front are going to want to fly in and either damage the tank or pebbles get down here and get smashed inside the tank. So you know, this stock skid is even though it's sheet metal, I wouldn't call it Mickey Mouse at all. This sheet metal conforms and bends like a membrane almost. So when it does get banged up by rocks, it stretches, it bends, and it doesn't tear easily. So in hindsight, if I had a full skid, I might have just kept it on like that. Okay, here's an excellent example or shot of what I mean. You can see where RCI fell short here. So this is me putting on the skid. Look how nice and shiny and new it is. But you can see this front little lip only goes up about an inch, if that, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Well, let's just call it an inch. So it's just a little, you know, vanity curve here. You know, for lack of a better term, but it doesn't go all the way up like the OEM skid, a good 6 to 8 inches or whatever the length or tallness of this tank is in this area. And as we follow the contours here, again, the OEM bent up to protect this all this black plastic that you see here is protected by the OEM skid. So again, RCI bent the metal up 1.5 inches or whatever it looks like here, and another 1 inch here. But here, the whole, you know, what is this? This is probably the passenger side front of the tank is exposed. And that's exactly where I had my problem. So this gap is this wasn't the final set of the gap. This is where I put it up higher, but a rock got wedged in here. Had this skid went up all the way, that may not have happened. So something to consider. Another shot of the OEM skid. Again, you can see down here where the mouse is. This is only about 1 inch, and then it goes up very tall here. And, you know, it goes all the way up to cover that whole front end and follow the curves. So it really does offer a lot of protection there. If I were to do it again, I might actually try to sandwich this OEM half skid under the RCI skid. So basically keep this on and then put some double-sided tape underneath of this so that you don't have metal on metal rubbing, and then put the RCI full skid underneath of this. This way, you get what I'm saying, the front exposed area here would be protected by this OEM skid, and then the RCI skid would protect the rest. Now, I don't know if there'd be bracket interference. You'd have to work with it, modify, you know, fabricate, blah, 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 but that might be a more pragmatic workaround to the RCI skid issue. But all in all, it is what it is. Here's the finished product when I was done, and again, hindsight's 20/20 here. Up here where the mouse is the gas tank, all this black. So don't think, oh, the gas tank is covered because the RCI skid stops here. No, not at all. It's all exposed, just hanging out, saying, hi, hit me. And then down here on close to the passenger side, you can clearly see this ledge ready to hit something. Or rocks smash this, or in our case, we just got something wedged there. So again, it's something to consider. You know, when you do aftermarket stuff, you got to move stuff, you got to work with stuff, nothing's going to be as perfect as OEM. So I guess the lesson of today's rambling video and nonsense of patching up this tank with a little Pebble hit on it. The moral is, you know, there's give and take with this aftermarket crap. And I'm not saying it's literally crap. RCI has been great. Their skids work, and they're meant to get damaged and all. But in our experience, no matter what the manufacturer is, there's going to be some issues. It's not going to be as meticulous, well thought out, or well engineered as any OEM anything. So you get these skids, they look pretty, they got RCI laser etched and cut, and you know, everything looks all fancy, but then, you know, at the end of the day, when you look, okay, you missed a good percentage of square footage of the front of the gas tank to protect. And so you got to have your eyes and ears out for that, and then modify, adjust, and tweak accordingly, and you'll be A-okay. All right, if you found this video helpful, useful, or entertaining, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great, great day.